accreditation level. Dr. Mannel has been a strong advocate for women's health issues throughout Oklahoma and the U.S. and has over 100 publications in peer-reviewed journals, including one as co-author with his wife, Becky, here, on hospital staffing ratios for lactation support published in the Journal of Human Lactation. So please join me in welcoming Dr. Mannel.
You know, I got that publication in the Journal of Human Lactation. I wasn't initially planning on doing that, but on, I think, the fourth revision that came back, and my wife was asking me to help her, I said, you know, I've put more time in this article than any of my other publications. I deserve an authorship. I got a lot of articles I'm on that I didn't deserve an authorship for necessarily because of time commitment. That one I did. But it was a great experience. Becky asked me to give a talk about how to get physicians involved. And I really started thinking about it. And I'm going to go on a little bit of a journey here that I think you guys will find interesting. Because it's a little bit of an uncomfortable story about how we address uncomfortable issues. And a lot of what you guys are looking at today is how do you change environments? How do you change systems? How do you change individuals? And on the surface level, I like your critical thinking analogy, this is really easy. Because if we look at the Surgeon General's 2011 call to action plan, it was really pretty simple. You can get physicians involved. All you have to do is improve their clinician knowledge. Because certainly if they know the benefits of breastfeeding, what physician wouldn't be supportive? I mean, my God, look at this table. Does this take me like 3 years of advanced study to realize the impact of breastfeeding? Yeah, it's like 30 seconds. That's a 30-second soundbite. Is there any physician that doesn't know this who's an OB-GYN or a pediatrician? No. They know this. We're not stupid. See, the real question is, why don't we act on it? Isn't it? I mean, come on. You want me to defend not supporting breastfeeding with numbers like this? I don't have a pointer that works. Do we have a pointer, Becky? Mannel? Do we have a pointer that works? Yes, nothing's coming out. Oh, there it is. Okay. Look at this. I'm educated now. Look at all these. Otitis media, eczema, diarrhea and vomiting, hospitalization, asthma, obesity, diabetes, cancer. These are huge odds ratios. Okay. All right. The mother, preterm infants. Certainly we support human milk in our NICU. Who wouldn't? I mean, this is like crazy. 138%? I live in the cancer world. These are home runs. If I can prevent that, okay, let me ask you this. If I had a vaccine shot that would do all of this, would we give it to every baby? Would it be mandatory? Absolutely. So somehow we all know this. The physicians know this, but we're not acting on it. That's where the story starts getting a little uncomfortable. I mean, how easy can it be? It's right there. Well, Edmund Burke said, those who do not know history are doomed to repeat it. Edmund Burke was one of the first great English statesmen who was opposed to the United States independence. And he wanted to be really hard on the United States. By the end of the Revolutionary War, he said, you know what? They're going to be independent. We need to pull out of this Vietnam and start going a different direction. So, but he was really influential in a lot of things, such as slavery, the abolition of slavery, the movement of England from a monarchy to a democracy. But you guys have all heard that quote before, and what I'm going to draw is some uncomfortable parallels for physicians. What are some other areas that, as a society and as physicians, we've been like really good at ignoring the facts for a long time? Oh, how you like that advertisement? Okay, that's a great advertisement. You want to get a little lift from your cigarette. Man, I'm an Olympic athlete and I smoke. What the heck's wrong with you? Well, let's not leave babies out of this advertisement campaign. We've certainly never seen any parallels with baby nutrition, have we? Of maybe some kind of questionable advertising. Okay. Come on, Mom, before you scold me, you better light up a Marlboro. Okay, you know. Well, let's not leave the physicians out of it. I mean, the number one advertisers for cigarettes were physicians. Do you really think physicians didn't know it was harmful to your health? Do you really think that? Or do you think they had other motives that influenced them? Whoa, tell me it's not true. Well, I'm old enough to remember what it was like getting on an airplane in the 1980s. Do you think the people who didn't smoke, whether they were physicians or not physicians, didn't realize it was bad for your health? Do you remember what it felt like to get off an airplane in 1985, where you spent the rest of the day recovering from the toxic fumes you inhaled? And you know what changed that? This guy, right here. See, Everett Koop was the first Surgeon General who actually made a difference in our country. Now, he recently died. So I'm going to talk a little bit about him because there's a reason he's important to this group as well, and we're going to go through that. But see, Everett Koop was like, he's weird. And Ronald Reagan appointed him in 1981, and you know, he's like really conservative. He was an evangelical Christian. He was extremely anti-abortion, anti-lots of the liberal agenda, but he got approved. Because in those days, the Congress said, well, if the president says that, unless this person's in prison or something, we'll approve him. I mean, it's a little different now. We got, you know. But what did C. Everett Koop end up doing? He ended up being the bane of the existence of all the conservatives. He was the most progressive public health advocate our society has ever had. Period. What are you guys about? Public health. It all started with this guy. He picked up three main things. See, one of them is tobacco. The reason we don't have to sit on airplanes with smoke in them anymore is because of this guy. It wasn't because of anybody else. Does anybody know the other two? HIV. You've got to remember, he's in the 80s. HIV was, well, good, they're going to die. Right? Guys are old enough to remember that. It's kind of a sad time in our society. Well, they're deviants and they're drug abusers. Why would we care? And you know what he said? No, we do care. Okay? And he started all of our screening policies and made public awareness. Does anybody know the third great thing? It's breastfeeding. So we'll get back to that. So it all ties together. I love it. Do you know why C. Everett Koop was fired? He was fired. Well, he resigned in protest. Little known story. As Ronald Reagan asked him as Surgeon General to come up with a report showing the harmful effects of abortion on a woman's health. You have to remember, C. Everett Koop was very much anti-abortion. After he looked at the data, he came back and said, I can't show that. I will not sign my name to a false report. And so he was asked to resign, and he did. But this is the advertisements we have now. That's a little different than those first three, isn't it? I like the anti-smoking advertisements. I think, the guy with the trach tube singing in a voice box, I like that. Because I see those people as a physician. I feel empowered by knowing my government's behind me on this issue. And it worked to a great extent. If you look at the tobacco use in this country, it has declined precipitously to this range. But now it's kind of leveled off at this 20%. We're stuck at this 20%. 1 out of 5 Americans smoking. What is the deal there? How do we go beyond that? In Oklahoma, it's even a bigger challenge. Because we're not stuck. We're going the wrong direction. Okay? We're going the wrong direction in Oklahoma when it comes to tobacco. Do you think physicians don't know that cigarette smoking is harmful? Do you think there's an education gap somewhere? What's going on? Indeed, Oklahoma is right at the very top. We rank 48 out of 50 states, but we're only a 10th behind West Virginia and Kentucky. And I am convinced we will pass them up because their curves are going down. We're the only state in the United States where our smoking rates are increasing. So we will become the number one leader in that health statistic. I wonder why. I can't imagine. Because certainly the government's behind us on this, right? Well, you know what? They're not. Our state governments let us down. And as citizens and as public health advocates, we should really be upset. Sure, it's controversial. Why is it controversial? Because of health implications? Because of personal liberty? Or do you think there might be money involved? Oh, don't be so crass, Dr. Mannel. Surely these gentlemen aren't thinking financial issues. No. They have the public's health concern in their heart. And they would, I don't know why, we're one of only 2 states out of 50 that would do this, but we apparently have something we haven't delved into. The expose in the Daily Oklahoman did follow up with how much money these people are making from the tobacco industry. Oh, yeah, that was kind of interesting if you read it. Well, let's go to another topic. See, I'm bringing it home because you guys are all about nutrition, baby nutrition. Laboratory tests over the last few years have proven that babies who start drinking soda during the early formative period have a much higher chance of gaining acceptance and fitting in during those awkward preteen and teen years. Do your child a favor. Do your child a favor. Start them on a strict regimen of sodas and other sugary carbonated beverages right now for a lifetime of guaranteed happiness. Do we see some repetitive themes in history? Did Edmund Burke give us a piece of advice that we should probably pay attention to? Certainly, I don't know if it gave us a lifetime of happiness, but it has certainly changed our society. This is not what party you vote for, blue versus red on these maps. This is how big you are as a society. And blue is good. Light blue is good. Dark blue is not so good. Red is really not good at all. Look at these graphs. Do you realize today in Oklahoma, 75% of adults meet the criteria for being overweight? 75%. 35% meet the criteria for being obese, grossly obese. But it's like tobacco use. It's okay. It's not a societal issue. It's a personal choice. And we as physicians, we shouldn't talk to our patients about that. I shouldn't talk to you not to smoke. If you want to smoke, that's okay. Certainly, I'm not called to help you have a better life, am I? Oh, wait a minute, I am. Oh, so it's okay for me to badger you to stop smoking, isn't it? Because I'm a cancer doctor. I'm not going to tell you it's okay to go in a tanning booth. I'm not going to tell you it's okay to smoke a few cigarettes. It's just not going to come out of my mouth. And I'm not going to tell you it's okay to be overweight, because being overweight leads to cancer as well. We don't do so good. We rank the 47 out of the 50 states. Mississippi beats us out, not by much. Once again, I don't know if people that don't eat vegetables vote Republican, if this is what they're showing, but isn't that amazing? The farm country. We don't eat vegetables. What's the deal with that? We rank number 50. Oklahoma eats fewer fruits and vegetables than any other state in the country. That wasn't true in 1970. In 1970, we ranked 25. Every year since 1970, we've gotten worse. Oklahoma is the only state in the United States whose age-adjusted mortality is increasing. Everybody else's is decreasing. We are the unhealthiest state in the United States, by far, hands down, nobody comes close. Why am I telling you guys this? Because you can help make a difference, right? And we're going to tie that back into breastfeeding. I'll get there, trust me. Now, this is a great question. Can you think of anything you did in the past month other than get from the bed to the fridge to the couch? Anything else counts. Walking through the grocery store counts. Anything counts. 1/3 of Oklahomans couldn't remember in the past month participating in any physical activity of any sort whatsoever. Is that a challenge? I was listening to the radio, Santa Monica, they're having a city council meeting because they're going to have to limit the number of people who exercise in their parks because their parks are getting too crowded. We don't have that challenge. Well, what does this lead to? See, the problem is it leads to this. It leads to diabetes. Diabetes isn't coming from some meteorite or some virus or some genetic influence. It's because we're fat. We just gotta be honest with ourselves. And yeah, if we're fat, we eat the wrong things, we don't exercise, we get diabetes. We get a lot of diabetes. Historically, we didn't have that much diabetes in Oklahoma. Yeah. You know, 1 out of 8 Oklahomans is now a diabetic. Do you realize in the hospital that you're in right now, OU Medical Center, all adult patients, for any reason they're in the hospital, 63% are diabetic. Do you think that's a public health issue? Do you think there's a lot of dollars being spent on tobacco and diabetes that otherwise we wouldn't have to spend? And we die. We die at an alarming rate from our diabetes here in Oklahoma. I love this. This is an example of a state that says, I've had enough. It's not your right to drink 26 packs of sugar 3 or 4 times a day and then come to my healthcare system and say, take care of me. Think about it. It's getting a little uncomfortable, isn't it? Some of us, maybe in this room, smoke. Does anybody in this room that smoke really not know that's bad for them? Some of us in this room, maybe you're a little overweight. Do we really not know that there's a challenge with being overweight? You see, if we're a public health advocate, we have to practice what we preach.